So first of all, we do have the Emperor as well as the Three of Wands. Now, both of these cards to me indicate a situation like a work environment where I feel that you are put in an environment where a lot of people are either depending on you, and a lot of people are kind of like looking up to you for your expertise, for your, voice of authority. I feel that a lot of you are kind of like in an environment, and I feel like it's institutional. You might be starting at the bottom and you're waiting for opportunities to advance, and you're waiting for opportunities either to get a promotion, to rise above, to do some type of lateral transfer, to even get a pay increase or a pay raise. And I feel like you're in an environment where there's a lot of people, looking at your performance, not in a bad way, but it seems like you're dealing with a lot of authority figures. You're dealing with a lot of people that you have to please, or that might have, creative differences from you. And you're trying to, so for example, you might have two supervisors, two trainers. One person wants you to do things this way. The other person wants it done a different way. So I feel like you're kind of like caught in the middle, and you're trying to like see how you can maneuver, or where you can maneuver the situation as to not to offend anybody. Okay. And they're saying for this month, like that whole emotional management idea, I feel like you really need to do what you feel is the right thing for yourself or for the situation. So don't become, don't be too eager to please one or the other, because I feel like that's going to isolate one and the other person. So I feel like it's really important for you to do what you think is the best course of action given the entire circumstance or the entire situation. So trusting your intuition specifically coming through, as well as really standing up and take ownership for your creative projects. Okay. So I feel like, there might be an energy of a micromanager in your midst, somebody who's constantly hovering over you and things like that. But I feel like you're going to navigate the environment just fine. And I feel like you know what you're doing. You have the skills and expertise. And a lot of you are actually very, very cautious. So you don't really act until you know for sure a certain course of action is going to provide the best outcome. So, trust yourself a little bit more, and, put your ideas on the line as well and defend it. Okay. With the Emperor here, it indicates as well a father figure. So that energy came through strongly. I feel like there is something that they're saying, when it comes to like career status and things like that. A lot of you are in a situation where you might be making a lot of money. So your financial situation looks very good for this month. You may be making a lot of money. You might be in a position of power and authority. And I feel like, a lot of you have fought really hard, have worked really hard to get where you are right now. And I feel like, yes, you have support from family members and things like that. But I feel like somebody is trying to take credit for, the work that you're doing. It could be as simple as, going home for the holidays, and then, you're like the manager now, and then your father might be bragging about you because, he's proud of you to his colleagues, to his other family members, or to his side of the family, and taking credit for it. I feel like he's proud of you, so he's doing this. But I feel that for you, it might rub you the wrong way, because you're like, no, I got here on my own. And I feel like you did a lot of work on your own to get there. But I feel that, this person feels almost as if you are an extension of them. So they're not doing this to be like pretentious or to like, take credit for your work. They're doing it mainly because they're proud of you. And the way in which they express their pride, or the way that they express their appreciation for you, might be done in a way where it's not like really humble, or it's not very tactful. So I feel like that might rub you the wrong way, especially those of you who have like a strained relationship with a father figure. Okay. The next two cards coming through is the Eight of Cups as well as the Six of Wands. Let me talk about the Six of Wands first. This is a card about garnering a lot of prestige, a lot of power, a lot of recognition on the professional and even the social environment. And I do sense for a lot of you, they're saying here, you're trying to do the right thing, okay? And you're trying to do what you feel is like morally right. And I feel that, everyone, it seems to me like there is a major loss that came as a result of trying to do the right thing. And I feel like this can play out in a relationship as well. So an example that comes to mind, I feel, is like, for example, like being like dating two people, and you have to let one person go mainly because you can't, you don't want to hold them back, you don't want to lie to them anymore. So in the process of doing the right thing, you lost that relationship, right? And I feel like on the professional front as well, you might have to like, you might be in a supervisory managerial position, and you might have to take those, you have to like make those difficult decisions. Kind of like, this person on my team is not carrying their weight, so I'm going to have to let them go. And I'm going to have to like hire somebody else to replace them that can do the job better. So I definitely feel like with you, there might be the whole concept of trying to do the right thing, and not being too happy about having to do it. I feel that you're still doing it. You're still, trying to walk the moral path, but it comes at a loss, like some type of emotional loss that is kind of irreversible. And then for others of you, I feel like if you're in a position of authority on a work environment, especially, you might have to make the tough call of letting somebody go and having to deal with, the resentment coming through from them. But in the process, I feel like it's for the greater good, mainly because they are kind of like a weak link, and you and your team can benefit a lot better if you were to replace them with somebody else. So I do sense that coming through where, tough choices are made. It indicates to me like a whole process of maturation where, with greater responsibilities, with greater power, with greater with greater power, greater position, greater prestige, it also comes with, greater responsibilities. If you're in the public limelight for whatever reason, if you are somebody who is like a politician, working in an environment that deals with like public policy, governance, or even like in the public sector, if you are somebody in the public eye, and I feel that you have to walk on the straight and narrow path, and it's really difficult for you like to maintain this kind of like facade all the time. So I feel like because you have gained this position of importance and prominence, it is really important that you conduct yourself well, mainly because you're under a lot of scrutiny. A lot of people are looking at you as a role model as well. So you can't really, I feel like a lot of you are not comfortable in this position. You feel that it's necessary in order to implement some type of major changes in society. So you get into this type of position where you can manage people, you can train people better, you can teach people how to do the right thing. But I do feel like when it comes to your public image and your emotional life, or even your personal life, it's really hard to manage the two, because you don't want to be seen as somebody who has like double standards for yourself and for other people. So because you're under a lot of scrutiny and you're in the spotlight, you have to conduct yourself so well. So you have to like hide certain things about yourself, not in a malicious, deceitful way, but mainly because you feel like this is the professional image I must portray. As for my personal emotional life, I need to put that on the back burner, or I need to like downplay that side of myself. So I feel that coming through this disparity between, public image and personal life. I feel that it's good. And I feel that, a lot of you are in positions of power, of authority. And so you have to like really watch what you say, really watch what you do, really watch who you hang out with, associate with, to avoid scandal, to avoid like gossip. And so you're very careful about, concealing information about your private life, mainly because you feel this area is sacred to you. So It could also be like, disassociating yourself from people that you used to hang out with, mainly because to avoid scandal or to avoid, being traced back to them in some way, and not frequenting the areas that you're used to or that you really liked, because there is like certain stigma associated with it. So not doing something that you used to like or you still like because you have to preserve a public image. Okay. So I see a lot of cards here about, high power, career, corporate types of professional that have to downplay a certain side of themselves in order to fit into a mold in a professional setting. And I feel like, yes, you're going through the motions, but you feel like it's not very authentic to your true, representation. Like, I don't feel it's truly you, but you're playing a role, and I feel that you understand the importance of needing to do this. Okay. What I'm also feeling as well is, with the third cluster here, we have the Hermit and the High Priestess, and I want to talk about these three cards in particular. And what I do sense here, these are very, very spiritual card. Well, even the Temperance card, these are very, very spiritual cards. And the High Priestess indicates heightened intuition. The Hermit indicates your spirit guides trying to connect with you. It's basically, crowning this reading. So it's something that you are thinking about, something that is happening around you. And I feel like you're being steered a specific way. And I feel that you're being steered towards like a moral, righteous path. And I feel a lot of you are just kind of like, in the past, you might have done some things that are questionable in order to get to a position of prominence, in order to achieve success and financial stability. So whatever you were doing, there's an element here about having to do something in order to achieve greatness. And whatever you did, you might not have really liked it. Okay, so that means that can even be as simple as being in a work environment that you don't really care for, in order to, stay there, gain seniority, get a promotion, have that financial stability. Others of you might just be like, you might become doctors and lawyer because it was expected of you from your father or from your family, but your heart's not in it. So it could be like that. And on the other extreme, it could be, shady dealings, under the table dealings in order to get something that will garner you a lot of wealth. So it can play out in a myriad of ways, and it can play, it depending on the magnitude of what was done in order to get yourself here. I do feel like a lot of you are questioning it. A lot of you are just like, is this something that is morally right? Is this something that is ethical? So I do see this whole element about, what the public wants, versus what I want. And, these things, they're at cross purposes with each other almost. So you're kind of like grappling with this inner dilemma. Like I feel like it's an inner conflict. It almost feels like an ethical dilemma about like, should I continue on this route? Am I on the right path? And if this is something that is good for me further down the line. I'm seeing that some of you might be in a position where you are meeting a lot of clients. And I feel like the clients that you're meeting, they have very, very extravagant tastes. They might engage in a lot of, like frivolous activities, like going out, dropping a lot of money in order for like entertainment. Okay. I'm going to leave it at that. That can mean many, many things, but I feel like you're kind of burned out with having to maintain this professional image. You're kind of burned out of having to maintain a specific like personage, I guess, in front of your professional contacts, and you feel like it's not really representing you. It's not the lifestyle that you really want for the rest of your life, and it's not something that you want to pursue because you feel like it's inauthentic. Okay. And with the Hermit energy, this is kind of like your spirit guides telling you, like, looking into the success situation. So it fell out like this, with kind of like, this indicates to me looking in depth into a situation. And we have the success card here. So it's sort of like, yes, you gain the success, you gain the power and the prestige, but at what cost? Are you still happy with your station? Are you still happy with this job? Are you still happy with these I almost want to say like superficial relationships that you are establishing that might not serve, that might not represent you, that, you know, outside of this work environment, you feel like this is not you. So there's a serious reassessment when it comes to a career track, I feel, for some of you. And especially for those who are, you know, like kind of like at the peak of your career, I feel like you're thinking about the next step. There's a sense of boredom, discontentment coming through. Even if you're at the peak of your career, I feel that you're waiting for new opportunities. However, you don't want to move away from where you currently are, like professionally, because there's a lot of money coming through. There's high status, high power, high money. So you might be, you know, wanting to make a career move. And I feel that you're being steered to make a career move, but you're comfortable where you are because, you know, of the leadership capacity, because of the status, because of the position. Okay. So major career moves are highly supported. Actually, I feel like you're being steered in that manner. And especially, I feel like for some of you, I feel like a lot of you made a lot of money and you might have lost it all. Okay, so I feel like they're saying something about, you know, money built on karma. So I feel what that means is kind of like, you know, in universal law is just you get back what you put in, no matter what it seems like at the end of the day, at the end of our lives. Whatever we put in when it comes to emotional investment, when it comes to like the time, the energy, and especially the energy on an energetic level, whatever we put into an endeavor throughout our lives, we're going to get it back. Okay. So it's a mutual energy exchange between ourselves and other people, between ourselves and a work environment, between ourselves and the universe. So I feel like money that is gained very, very quickly can disappear very, very quickly. And I feel that a lot of you might have like been on top of the world doing something quite, I don't know if it's like immoral or unethical. And you might have been in a situation where you lost it all. And I feel like if that were, you know, if that was something that happened to you, they're saying that, you know, there is a way to build it back up, but you need to make sure that the way in which you approached, you know, rebuilding your foundation, you need to make sure that it's a different way. You need to make sure that it is something that is tried and true and built on hard work rather than, you know, overnight success. Okay. So I sense that coming through. A lot of you are going through like a major spiritual month for this year where you are reassessing a lot of what you've been doing and whether or not it's going to sustain you till the end of time, because I feel an overall sense of boredom, dissatisfaction. It feels to me almost like going through the motions, having a lot of things on your plate, going through the motions, but the emotional satisfaction is no longer there. So it feels like you're living your life based on other people's expectations rather living it authentically based on what you want out of life. So, in a way, it's sort of like emulating other people's success rather than charting your own territory and figuring out what success and happiness and things like that really mean for you. So the last cluster here deals with the Temperance card and the Nine of Swords. And the Nine of Swords is a card about, you know, sadness, regrets as well. It's about sleepless night, being plagued by nightmares, not getting enough sleep, not getting adequate rest, or even restful sleep. This is a card about tossing and turning in the night. And I feel like a lot of you are getting spiritual insights. I feel like spirits, this is your spirit guide trying to guide you in the right direction. And I feel like, especially for those of you who are starting from the bottom and you're trying to rise into a position of prominence, you're trying to secure enough money, enough funding in order to get some type of venture off the ground. I do see a lot of work, like, you know, you're being overloaded with a lot of work. There is a high propensity for burning out. So if you're not careful, okay, so just keep that in mind and take care of yourself. Get recreational, you know, activities in to diffuse the tension when it comes to like being too inundated with work that you don't really care for. And on top of that, having a lot of responsibilities on your plate. I feel like a lot of you They're saying something about new additions to the family. So if you have like younger children, especially, who's like teething, or it's like a child that cries a lot at night, you're not used to it, you're trying to adjust your schedule. So I feel like a lot of sleepless nights, or like waking up in the middle of the night in order to take care of the little kids. Okay, so that is something that you need to manage, and I feel like you're going to be able to successfully manage it. But I feel like a lot of work life balances, a lot of personal professional life balances, needs to be sorted out for this month. And I feel like it's catching up to you, like all those nights of like burning the midnight oil, those things are catching up, and it's affecting your health, first of all physically, and then later on emotionally. So I do see something here, kind of like things bundled up together. First, you're emotionally, dissatisfied with your job, and then you might like be a little bit more irritable. You might pick fights on the work environment, and just to show your, it's like your dissatisfaction coming out in a very covert way. And then secondly, things bundled up, as in your physical health is affected, and then your emotional state is not that great. Okay, be careful about irritability, taking things out on coworkers that don't warrant it. Like, I feel, for cancers, a lot of you're ruled by the moon. And I feel like your emotional state is greatly dictated by your physical health as well as your emotional health. So if those things are kind of like in disarray, I feel that you're going to be quite irritable. And likewise, if you're experiencing any type of body aches, body pain, or any type of like physical illness, you're going to be quite irritable to the people that you are around. If you are in a relationship and where you feel like you did a lot of the work and you're not getting, the attention or even the equal amount of investment from either your job or even your relationship partner, you're going to find like very covert, subversive way to undermine that relationship. Be careful of this shadow side of yourself, because I do see it playing out for this month, where you're dissatisfied with something, but rather than voicing your opinion, rather than talking to the person about it, I feel like you put on a brave face, on a happy face or a giddy face, and getting through it. And you might do subtle things to undermine that relationship, that person, or that work environment. I hope that makes sense. So I feel that coming through. Just be very careful with this, undercurrent subversive energy. Okay, find a proper outlet for it, or at least talk about it. What's really interesting as well is I feel like everything happening this year, as I'm sorry, not this year, this month, it's being felt on a very emotional level. I have a lot of deep emotional things coming through, but nothing is really talked about. We don't have well, except the Nine of Swords, we don't have like air signs, like the sword suit that indicates some type of intellectual outlet, or even some type of like some ability or opportunity coming through to allow you to voice things. I feel like a lot of people as well are coming to you with a lot of their problems, and you're like having to manage your own problems as well as whatever it is that other people need you to help them with. I feel for some of you, you are in some type of position where you're doing some quality control. And I feel that you're being paid by the company that you're doing quality control for. So it's in your best interest to try to tweak situations or try to hide certain aspects of things that don't really pass inspection. So I feel like you're doing that in a very, I feel like under the table, or in a very covert manner, out of like prying eyes. Okay, so that's coming through. There's a lot of secrecy, there's a lot of like things that are under the curtain, and then people putting on a happy face. So be careful of how this energy is going to affect you long term emotionally, because I feel like you're not too happy about having to do that. Now, in terms of your spiritual advice, Cancers, we do have here the Eight of Pentacles, which is a great, great, great career card. Okay, this is kind of like working very diligently for whatever you for financial stability. So I feel like in your work environment, you are working very, very diligently. You're minding your own business, and I feel like other people are the ones coming to you with their own problems, and you have to fix them. So you're playing a little bit of a fixer for other people this month, and as a result of having to fix everybody's else's things, you might not have the emotional reservoir left over, the emotional stamina, I feel, to straighten out other things in your own life. Okay, just be careful about that. The Eight of Pentacles is also a card in the traditional Rider-Waite deck where we are making duplicates of something, and then we're, something with your name on it, and then you like send it out to the universe. So resumes come to mind, and I feel like a lot of you are kind of like looking around. You're looking around for other career opportunities. You're looking around for that big, big job, like with the corner office. And I feel that you're waiting for the perfect opportunity to get there or to network. So I do sense an energy of a lot of socializing, networking on the professional front in order to like expand your contacts, in order to get your foot in the door when it comes to a very high power, high status type of a position. Okay. Like, rubbing shoulders with people in a position of power in order to land a perfect job. So I feel like you're going about this in a very, very smart way. And I feel like you're doing it in a very sly manner, in a very, well thought out strategic manner, but everything is just very under the radar, under the curtain to me. The second card that comes up here is the Two of Wands, and the Two of Wands indicates a relationship. This is either a relationship or a partnership. I feel for a lot of you, this might be a relationship type of situation, where one person is like doing a lot of the work in the relationship and the other person is not holding up their end of the bargain. What I also feel is for some of you who are in a relationship right now, there might be a lot of like professional engagements that you have to go to, and you want your partner to attend with you, but they can't for whatever reason. And vice versa, they have a lot of social function or professional functions that they want you to attend, but you can't because you have your own. So I do feel like a lot of compromise needs to come through from your relationship with your partner, and you might be assessing a major romantic like partnership in your life right now to see like how compatible you are, to see where it's going, and to see whether or not it's going to be sustainable further down the line. What is coming through last here is the Moon card. And the Moon card, basically, I feel like for a lot of you, there is a lot of psychic hits based on this spread. You are getting a lot of good insights as to where you need to go to strengthen your career or to find a career that is a lot more emotionally fulfilling. I feel like a lot of you who are currently employed right now, you're in a job that is great, but I feel like it's not emotionally fulfilling for you. I feel like it pays well. I feel like there's a lot of interesting people that you're coming across. There's a lot of like an expansive energy regarding your professional contact, but I feel like you're not emotionally happy. And then a lot of you are in a relationship as well, and you're thinking like there's more. I want more out of this relationship, or I want a relationship that looks different. So I almost feel like, looking at other people's relationship, comparing your relationship with others, and then looking at other people's work environment or even work positions and envying the life that you could have had, or, wanting a different thing for yourself. It is Mercury in retrograde throughout December, and Mercury in retrograde brings up a lot of uncomfortable feelings and uncomfortable kind of like, I feel like uncomfortable revelations. And a lot of the times, these are things that we should have, examined a few months prior, especially like 3-4 months prior, during a previous Mercury in retrograde time frame. And if these things were not, taken care of then and swept under the rug, they will come up again in the next Mercury retrograde cycle. So I feel like whatever was swept under the rug, whatever was not dealt with in an upfront manner, is coming through again for you guys. So I feel like let me see, the month of, I believe the last one was the month of September. So whatever was not adequately dealt with when it comes to work, how you make money, especially, and whether or not you're satisfied with that. And when it comes to relationships, who are you with right now? And are you happy with that relationship? These two things are coming up and you can no longer ignore them for this month. Okay. So it is a little bit of a soul searching journey. I feel that a lot of you there's this overall sense of like, yes, things are stable, but I'm not really content. And if that feels familiar to you, then you really want to ask yourself the question of, if I'm not content with this, what do I really want? And what's the best option for me? So I feel like these things need to be addressed for this month. And, like, don't make a decision yet. Just try to feel it out and see what you need, because I feel like you haven't really sat down and, write a list about what you need, so you don't really know what it is out there. You just know that you're just kind of like dissatisfied right now, but you don't know what you really want, and you don't know like what's going to get you to the space that you really want. So I feel like actually sitting down, having some quiet time to yourself. So pulling back your energy, having some quiet time to yourself to answer these questions, it's going to give you a lot more clarity. And then, come January, come especially March, you can then figure out how you're going to be able to realistically achieve the things that you want. So a lot of things are coming up for reexamination. A lot of new spiritual insights are coming through for you for this month, and I do feel a lot of information coming through from other people. I do sense like news coming through from a mother regarding a father's behavior for some of you. And I feel like a lot of you don't live with your parents anymore, and you're kind of worried because you're no longer in that environment. So I see like some news coming through from the mother regarding the father's behavior, especially if you have been estranged from your father. So that's coming in. Let me just see what else. I feel like a lot of you, they're saying something about, wanting to return back to school. If you want to do that, I feel like it's a really good time for you to do that. Okay. School is a great investment. And whenever your soul wants to go back to school, whenever you feel like there are other things that I want to learn, it's always a good thing to do. And especially, being in school will help us stabilize other areas of our lives. It doesn't feel like that at the time. The whole image of the poor college student comes to mind. But I feel like a lot of you are thinking about returning to school, or you like the school environment mainly because the people that you seem to run across in a school environment, in a more academic environment, they seem to be a little bit more ethical, a little bit more in alignment with you. So I feel like a lot of you are comfortable in that environment. It feels safe. It feels very cloister, where you don't have to worry about real world responsibilities. So a lot of you are wanting that part of your life again, wanting to experience that again. I do sense going back to school would be very good for some of you, especially if you're having trouble figuring out your career and professional direction, and especially if you don't know what you need right now to make yourself happy. I feel like a little bit more education would be good for you overall in the long run when it comes to your career track.